Alright, you old fuckers. Let me tell y'all something, bro. Y'all folk that be out there hating on my generation. You feel me? Gen Z. I don't respect you. Anyways, seems like my generation isn't drinking alcohol. Why did Gen Z quit drinking alcohol? I didn't know we started. Most of us aren't that old. Let's actually get into this vid, bro. I'm interested to see what's going on here.
Gen Z is drinking less alcohol than every other generation on Earth right now, and it's having major repercussions. Since when did Gen Z become the designated driver of society, and what does this mean for the alcohol industry? That is what we're going to find out today. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's the perfect mocktail of chaos and edutainment. And yes, I did say mocktails because that is what's all on the rage. Cocktails are so blasé, so 2024. But you know what's not blasé? Clicking that subscribe button. But back to the point, why? Because Gen Z just isn't that into drinking. That's right, the same generation that revived Y2K fashion, embraced oat milk like it was liquid gold, and somehow made Crocs fashionable again, is now making alcohol-free living cool. And when Gen Z decides something is over, it's OVER. And boy, is it. They're drinking 20% less than the generation before them, the millennials, and 33% less than the other generations when it comes to beer and wine. For generations, drinking has been a cornerstone of social life, adulthood, and even celebrations.
Freaking alcohol is poison. It's poison in a bottle. It's disgusting as well. You know what I'm saying?
College parties, happy hours, wedding receptions. Alcohol has been at the center of all of it. Sure, it's not like everyone drank. There's plenty of people of every generation that don't. And yet, it's specifically the drinking rates among Gen Z that are plummeting. Bars and nightclubs are struggling to keep young customers, and they're scrambling to understand how to entertain people that just don't want to partake in drinking. At first, this might seem like just another quirky generational shift, like the sudden return of bell-bottom jeans or that hairstyle that every Gen Zer insists on getting. But this is not just a passing trend. This is something that's already reshaping industries, marketing strategies, and even the future of alcohol itself. Because here's the thing, this might be bad news for the alcohol brands out there. This is an industry that has spent billions of dollars making sure alcohol is seen as an essential part of adulthood. But now, their golden goose, the young adult demographic that kept bars full and liquor sales booming, is disappearing. So let's be clear here. We're talking about people born between 1997 and 2012. Now that the oldest Gen Zers are in their mid-20s, gag, they are entering the consumer world, making their own purchasing choices and having a heavy influence on brands, trends, and everything else. So companies are starting to take note of Gen Z's interests. I talked about this in our Chili's video a bit more, so make sure to check that one out, but basically, they're the captain now. And with that power, they've decided that they liked dry January so much that they're just gonna make it dry the rest of time. Statistics show 70% of people in Gen Z are choosing non-alcoholic beverages over the other kind. Only 18 to 20% of Americans of legal drinking age under 28, which is the cutoff point as of this episode for that group, said they regularly drank beer, wine, or spirits. Like I mentioned earlier, among millennials who were born between 1980 and 1994, consumption was way higher, especially for beer and wine. It's not just in the US either. In the UK, over 1 in 4 young adults
be out there drinking. Older generations, bro, drinking. Alcoholics, bro. Telling you, man.
Now identify as non-drinkers, a number that has doubled in the last decade. It's astonishing. Even in countries with deeply ingrained drinking cultures, Germany, Spain, and Australia, young people are simply not reaching for booze like their parents did. But what is it about alcohol that no longer fits into Gen Z's world? It's well
bro, that shit nasty.
known that Gen Z is socializing a lot.
I also kind of feel like, bro, we're like a little bit healthier, bro. We look a little bit more health conscious. You know, we still got some things to work on, the vaping, you know, things like that. But we're a little bit more health conscious, bro. We low-key care about our health a little bit more than the older generations. It's like what I assume it is.
Lot less in person due to the reliance on communicating through technology. Some people have even gone so far as to dub this the loneliest generation. And let's be honest, the pandemic definitely didn't help since they spent important informative time distancing themselves and doing the opposite of socializing. As Gen Z are spending less time in person, there's been a decline in alcohol consumption, as very often alcohol is seen as a social
trying to get my socialness back, bro. COVID hit, man, all of a sudden, bro, I ain't got nothing to talk about. I don't even, I don't even be talking to people, bro. I used to be that one guy who could talk with anybody, bro. I have lost that ability. uh,
Drink. Since a common reason for drinking is to have a good time with friends, naturally this decreases if the social interaction goes down too. But that's not to say that they aren't going out at all, just a lot less than before. And even though they are the loneliest generation, that doesn't mean that they aren't socializing either. They're just socializing in ways that prioritize health and finance. And booze doesn't fit well into either of those, especially in this day and age. I went out with some friends recently to catch up over dinner and made the mistake of getting a cocktail because why not? We were celebrating reuniting. When the bill came, pet peeve of them not putting the prices on the menu aside, my jaw dang near hit the floor when I saw that the drink was $25. Mind you, my flatbread I ordered, 19. It's ridiculous.
Bro, freaking alcohol is so expensive, bro. It costs an arm and a leg and your penis.
And
It's
Gen
horrible.
Zers aren't having any of that. And it's not just the price tag like we mentioned in other episodes. Gen Z are far more health conscious, arguably the most health aware
Bro,
generation.
I remember I used to work at Buffalo Wild Wings. Bro, this one dude, he ordered a shot. I'm telling you, like a little like a shot. Bro, the job I think it was like double digit numbers, bro. It was like between like $12 and $20 that he spent on that one little shot, like this much, bro. What the freak is you doing, bro? It is not that good, bro. It's not that fire, bro. Telling you, man, I jump buns.
Ridiculous. And Gen Zers aren't having any of that. And it's not just the price tag like we mentioned in other episodes. Gen Z are far more health conscious, arguably the most health aware generation in history, because they have all the information they need at their fingertips. The awareness of alcohol and the effects it has on someone has significantly increased since the past generations.
I don't even think that's the reason, bro. I don't even think it's because we got all the information at our fingertips. I feel like, bro, we seen the older generations, bro. They're fat, ugly, super unhealthy looking, bro. They smoke cigs like no other, all kinds of junk. Bro, nobody want to be like that. Nobody want to be like that, bro. No one wants to be like, you feel me, looking old and freak, bro. You know what I'm saying? Looking crazy. Freaking, self-care and health and wellness and junk, but that's just super important because you see the older generations, bro. They were not taking care of themselves, bro. And sometimes they would know what's wrong. Oh yeah, bro, I drank a lot of alcohol. I got liver failure. I'm gonna keep drinking though. I'm telling you, bro. That's how they was. That's how they is, bro. They hard headed. They don't listen. They don't like medicine, bro. They don't like modern medicine and people telling them what to do and things of that nature, bro. That's all that is. And it also does help that you do have like all this information at your fingertips, though. But I don't think that's like the sole reason.
Sure, millennials were the first generation to have alcohol and drug educations in school, like the DARE campaign and Just Say No, but it was always vague and didn't harp on the actual health part of it. I remember as a kid it was just don't do this, it's bad for you, with some scary images, but we never really grasped the effect it had on our bodies. Gen Z, on the other hand, has had instant access to scientific research, nutritional breakdowns, and first-hand testimonials about how alcohol affects the body. So even from one generation to the next, there's a greater understanding of how alcohol can affect your health, and the results aren't.
Bro, as long as alcohol has been around and has been like a popular thing, nobody has like. Is this like a recent thing that people are like, yeah, bro, alcohol is bad for you? What? I think that's crazy. Definitely, big alcohol was keeping this kind of information on the low. Trust.
Not just the physical aspect either, the mental one too. Almost 86% of the Gen Z population believe that their mental health is as significant as their physical health when considering drinking alcohol.
Bro.
And while, yeah, alcohol does have a relaxing effect by lowering your inhibitions, that's the reason why inebriated people do dumb things, there's a flip side to that coin, because it also disrupts sleep quality, gut health, and increases the presence of negative feeling, like anger, depression, and anxiety. And Gen Z is already depressed and anxious enough as it is. So they're electing to move away from alcohol because they've got enough on their plate, or in their cup, as the case may be. I do want to point out that I know I'm referring to Gen Z as if it's some sort of monolith, and obviously it's not, but trends are incredibly significant in this generation, the generation of social media. And yeah, older generations, well, mostly just the millennials, did have social media from a relatively young age, but we're talking about people who've been sharing their lives with the world for as long as they can practically remember. And the influence of social media is absolutely one of the most important factors in them giving up liquor. Because watching people online share their thoughts on the negative effects of alcohol, their personal stories, or following trends like Dry January encourages others to follow suit. Look at Tom Holland, not just because he's easy on the eyes, but because he's a good example of this. Someone in the cultural conversation who's become an advocate for sobriety. He started through Dry January, and he's not the only one. Last year, 35% of Gen Zers between 21 and 24 also completed Dry January. And now, the vastly better Tom even makes his own alcohol-free beer. And the other aspect of social media is the ability to have a conversation with the world. There's a large trend called the sober curiosity movement, which challenges people to assess their relationship with alcohol. Not to cut it out, but to ask themselves why they drink, all in the name of mental and physical health. The term sober
They should do this junk with all substances, bro. Because the way I think about alcohol is the same way I think about weed, bro. I don't like it. Weed smells like ass. I cannot do it. Alcohol tastes like ass. I cannot do it. Those are like two huge things for me, as well as the fact, bro, I believe, bro, they're super unhealthy. Not good for you, bro. Bro, they need to do this on all substances. Of course, hard drugs. You know, people tell you to stay away from hard drugs. But, bro, weed and alcohol, bro, they're up there, bro. They're like no-goes, bro. No-goes.
This was popularized by the author Ruby Warrington in her 2018 book, and Gen Z is latching onto it because it's become a global conversation. As opposed to what I alluded to earlier, when education for the older generation was simply being told not to do something, now it's a dialogue that young people
How to feed my fishy.
feel empowered to participate in. And clearly, when they start asking themselves the important questions, alcohol seems like less of a necessity for going out and socializing. But while health and wellness is absolutely the primary concern and driving factor of sobriety for Gen Z, we can't really leave out how expensive it is to drink. Almost a third of young people choose low and no alcohol drinks specifically because they're cheaper than the alcoholic versions. This isn't to say that they're all about saving money and penny pinching. Sure, harsher economic reality right now between student loan debt, skyrocketing rent prices, and an uncertain job market, but the youth are actually happy to shell out cash. They're willing to pay more so long as it's a better quality product. Trends from 2024 show that when Gen Z do drink, they prefer premium beverages. Gone are the days of slamming down whatever's cheapest at the bar. Gen Z would rather have one high-quality, carefully curated drink.
If I'm gonna do some bullshit, if I'm gonna like partake in some horrid, rancid activities, bro, give it to me the best way possible. If I'm going to eat like BS, it at least has to taste good. It at least has to be the best of the best. For this one time that I'm going to, drink alcohol, give it to me high quality.
Drink, then 5 that taste like bad decisions. They're trading quantity for quality. So here's the real kicker. This isn't just about drinking less. It's about drinking differently. And the alcohol brands are listening closely. That's because Gen Z isn't killing alcohol. They're reinventing it. Say what you will, but this generation knows what they want. And they have standards, which is more than I can say for the frat bros of my college years downing anything so long as it was unleaded. And even then, I've seen things. When it comes to the things Zoomers are drinking, one of the fastest growing markets is the ready-to-drink beverages, or RTDs. The global RTD market is expected to more than double from 1.01 billion to 2.23 billion by 2029. And it's thanks to Gen Z who live fast-paced lives and need a good drink that doesn't require a bunch of preparation.
Cut waters, bro. Butt water.
Of Gen Z drink pre-mixed alcohol beverages and spirits, which include things like hard lemonades, hard seltzers, and kombucha. And if you've never had it, by the way, thank your lucky stars. Living in LA so long, it was hard to avoid it. And the one time I did have it, I literally spat it back out on the street. I truly don't get it, but that's just me. Gen Zers, on the other hand, are down to try pretty much anything. That's why these RTDs are also such a smash hit, because they offer a huge variety of flavors and options. They're also drinking the good stuff, the premium stuff, like I mentioned. 54% of Gen Z are likely to choose a premium drink compared to just 35% of people in older generations. This trend is particularly evident in spirits, where premium, super premium, and ultra premium categories have been growing like the stuff at the bottom of kombucha bottles. Seriously, so gross. But companies are now adapting to this, creating beverages with interesting flavors, like pineapple wine cocktails and orange lemonade vodka. But that's not the only way companies are adapting, because the new wave is all about the no-low trend. You know, drinks with no and low alcohol. And the brands are riding that wave to the bank. They're not dumb. They see that their customers are drinking less alcohol.
Yo, bro, I like me a little mocktail, nigga. Extra virgin, bro. No alcohol, bro.
So if people don't want alcohol...
Just straight good tasting, wonderful bliss in a cup. You know what I'm saying? I like me a nice little mocktail, nigga.
Beer, they're not going to stop selling beer, they're just going to stop selling the alcohol in the beer. More and more companies are starting to offer 0% beers, and they're seeing a lot of success with it. The NA, or non-alcoholic beer market, rose by 35%.
I don't know if I would like that. I ain't never tried no alcoholic beer. I don't even know if I can legally drink that. Do you have to be 21 to get these? Let's find out, y'all. Boom. Whether you need to be 21 to buy non-alcoholic beer depends on your state and store under U.S. federal law. Drinks with less than 0.5 alcohol volume are not legally classed as alcoholic beverages, meaning there is no federal age limit. However, state laws and private store policies vary widely. Okay. I still probably won't try it. I'm sure it's probably gross. So, I'm good on all that.
From 2022 to 2023, and it's expected to keep growing at a pretty massive rate. Now, once upon a time, removing the alcohol from the beer had to be done post-fermentation through techniques like boiling, vacuum distillation, and reverse osmosis. Problem was, these methods could negatively affect the taste. So, non-alcoholic beers were far from the preference. But now, advancements in technology have also allowed these companies to improve the flavor of these non-alcoholic beverages, meaning not only is it not a bad substitute, but can be as good as the original too. And it's not just limited to beers. There are companies that sell de-alcoholized wine. I'm fascinated by this product because it's not like it's just a juice. They actually removed the alcohol from fully fermented wine, and it leaves it tasting just like the alcoholic kind. This is a perfect example of an industry actually listening to its customers, and a consumer base that's truly talking with their wallets. And we all come out winning. Higher quality spirits, no or low alcohol variants that taste just as good as their alcoholic counterparts. Even older generations are drinking less or healthier thanks to Gen Z's lead. We owe them a debt of gratitude. But there's one other big winner here. Notice how at no point in the episode did I say that the alcohol industry is declining? Sure, there are certain aspects or specific brands that are in trouble, looking at you, Natty Light, and sure, there are less people drinking now than ever, but sales in the alcohol industry as a whole haven't stopped climbing since the pandemic. People may be drinking less volume of alcohol, but prices haven't dropped a bit. In fact, some of these no-low drinks are even more expensive than the alcoholic kind. They require the same or similar techniques to the alcoholic types, just with the added step of removing the alcohol, which then makes it a premium product to sell. There's a bit of a slump as manufacturers shift their strategies to fit the new market, and some of them may stumble in the short term, which explains why some markets have seen a small decline. But these companies aren't worried about the now. They play the long game. Look at Anheuser-Busch, the largest beer company in the world. Right now, they're experiencing a small dip in sales, but their non-alcoholic options are exceeding expectations. And if things keep going the way they are, their non-alcoholic sales will likely equal or even exceed their others. And they're coming out looking like the heroes because they're giving us healthier options and listening to their consumer base without actually sacrificing anything. In fact, they're gaining in the long term. So Gen Z being healthy and drinking less because of it has created a shift in the industry that's demanding higher quality and healthier options. It's also making the rest of us start to moderate our own drinking habits and consider healthier options. And the alcohol industry is loving it because we are playing right into their hands. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory.
Of course, bro. If the market changes, they gotta keep their money up somehow. So yeah, bro. Market change, they're gonna change their product with whatever the market is demanding for. That's a very interesting thing to see though. I probably still won't partake in that very much. Um Let me know what y'all thinking, bro. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Yee.